Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I appreciate y'all being here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Not sure what's going on with my voice, but we're going to do something a little bit different today. I actually attended a field trip that inspired me to do this video, and I found a lot more interesting things than what was told to me on the field trip, of course. And I can't wait to share this with you guys. This is right here in my state of Alabama. And what I found out about this place is absolutely amazing. And there's some things I found out that I couldn't verify, but I'm going to share those with you as well. Because I feel like that kind of did happen in a way. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself like I always do. By the way, my name's Brandy. Yeah. And I do witch history and I do my makeup at the same time. And if that's something that kind of interests you, you can definitely hit that subscribe button. That'd be fantastic, as I'm trying to grow, you know. I love history, okay? Point blank period. I love it. I think it's the greatest. I don't know what it is about me and history, but I will be doing these YouTube videos for a long time. I don't care if nobody watches them, to be honest with y'all. So, anyways, today we're doing the history of Childersburg, Alabama, where Desoto Caverns is, now called the Majestic Caverns, and yes, we will get into that as well. And it had a name previous to that, so we're going to start way back in time, because this is actually one of the very first, it is the first settlement that still stands to this day. And the people that created it were our First Nations individuals, the indigenous people of America. Anyway, so before, I need to go ahead and start putting some makeup and stuff on. So then we can go ahead and get this party started. Okay. So first, let me tell you guys about my experience when I first got to this place. Now, I haven't been there since I was an itty bitty kid. Like, probably my kid's age, to be honest with y'all. I hadn't been there in that long, and I noticed it was called the Majestic Caverns. Now, I knew why it was called that, but we're going to get there. So I pull up in the parking lot. This is just my personal experience there, and I'm going to get this to y'all first, and this is the whole reason why we're doing this video today. So I pull up in the parking lot and I get kind of an uneasy feeling, but I figured that's just my anxiety kicking in, because I have anxiety really bad. And so I get to the place before the kids get there, and I arrive and everything, and go up and buy my ticket, and I go up and I start sitting by the little wheel. And I'm just sitting there waiting on my kid. Fast forward. So when I arrived at the Majestic Caverns, I was having a really uneasy feeling, and I didn't understand why. I ignored it. Once my kid was around, I was able to ignore it. So I chalked it up to anxiety. Now, we go and do all these things, and they go through a maze and do all this fun stuff. We get to the cave, okay? And we go down. And we're going down into the cave. I got like 3 kids hanging on to me because they couldn't see. I could barely see either, but I was excited. I was like, yay, we're finally going to go in the cave. This is what I've been waiting for. So he tells us all to come in there, and we sit down at these benches, and all of a sudden I have this terrible feeling in the bottom of my stomach. And I'm like, it can't be. I'm claustrophobic. This place is 12 stories high. It's incredibly huge. And I'm just like, why am I feeling this way? So our little instructor guy gets up there and he starts to talk, right? Well, what does he say? He says that the cave was where the Native Americans buried their dead. Yes, I was sitting in a cemetery of my ancestors. That was the feeling. I was like, okay, this makes all the sense in the world. And of course, the guy goes into his little spiel, and I'm like leaning forward, I'm like, yes, I need to hear more, I need to know more. And so I did do the deep dive. But yeah, that's what it was. It first started, the whole settlement there. It wasn't named Childersburg, but it is now. Childersburg is in Talladega County. And if you don't know about Talladega. You know, if you're not first, you're last. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. I don't know, man. Talladega is pretty crazy. But anyway, that's where the caverns are. But the town was not always called that, but it has always been there ever since the 1500s and was settled by, like I say, the natives of the time, which were the Coosa and the Creek. Yeah, Creek. Those are my peeps. Yes, yes, my peeps. And so he was telling us about the Coosa Indians and about how DeSoto was met with resistance. And I started to smile because I know that's not true. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the original name of the town was actually, and it's going to be hard for me to say this because I'm sure I'm going to say it completely, utterly wrong. Albeca. Mm-hmm. Goodness. Albeca. And it was one of the 4 towns of the Muskogee Creek Nation. Like one of the big 4, like 4 little gatherings of towns. That's why it was so old. It had already been settled, and it's still settled, like I say, to this day. And it's actually super cute. They got a nice little downtown area and stuff like that. Like I drove through all that, and it's little, and it's awesome. So, but anyway, let's get to the cave. So this cave obviously was not called DeSoto Caverns at first. No, it wasn't. Surprise, surprise. And y'all going to really be surprised about when they actually changed the freaking name of the place. That shocked me. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to watch the rest of the damn video to figure that out, okay? Sorry. It was called Kalamunga. Oh my gosh, here we go. Kalmulga. That was the name of the town. And it actually meant healing all. So they were healers. This cave was called, the name of the town's cave, Kalamunga Cave. And so this is why they would put their dead there, so they wouldn't be disturbed. They would be protected, and the spirits would be together. And this is why they bury their dead there. But it became used for other reasons once Mr. DeSoto decides to come over and say, hey, you know. Now, DeSoto, if you don't know who he is, he's the Spanish conqueror that came up through Florida. And on his way, he stayed in this place for 5 weeks. Okay. And when he first got there, now this is the part that I can't find solid evidence on. Because the guy that was doing the whole hosting thing said that the Indians didn't greet him with open arms. Now, I read that they did greet. The chief actually came out near the cave and greeted him and was trying to be nice with him. And then DeSoto actually took him, captured, and made the rest of the people slaves. Now, that part, I don't know if that part is true, but I do know that most, excuse me, that I do know that most of the time, when natives have been approached, in the books that I've read, they've always been very generous. They give a lot to people when they first meet them, just because they had so much. You know how they had so much land. If y'all haven't watched some other native videos, you should. The land. I mean, that's why they loved it so much, and I don't blame them. And because Alabama is absolutely beautiful. Soto wants the cave, of course, and he decides that he's going to stay there for a while. Now, like I say, it was the Coosa and the Creeks, but they did a thing. They were also called the Copina culture is what they would call them, the Copina culture. So that was the culture of the Native Americans there, the Creeks. So the burial, actually, they didn't even know that it was a burial site until 1963. They had no idea that it was a burial site. It was like some archaeologists actually from down the street from the University of Alabama came across, I guess, a rock, and they knocked a hole in it, and they found 5 skeletons. 4 adults and 1 baby. Yeah. And for a while, they had them displayed there. Not gonna lie, I remember seeing that there when I was a kid, because they don't have it there anymore. Because at a certain date and time, they had my people, like the actual tribe, the Creek tribe that's down here in Alabama, came up here and did a whole ceremony and actually buried the skeletons back in the cave in an unknown place. And of course, the man tells us in the place where it's at. And I'm like, I thought it was supposed to be unknown. He was like, it's in this vicinity. And I was just like, dude, can you be any more disrespectful? Like, seriously. I realize this is confusing because the cave was actually considered the very first cave that was known by the government in the year of 1796. Okay. But they didn't know that there were skeletons in there, or at least they didn't find them until the 1960s. Okay. Now, we still have to go before all this because there's a lot of things that happened at this cave. It's actually pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. I also found a jawbone that showed that one of these skeletons was possibly over 7 foot tall. Yeah. Which doesn't surprise me because, and I'll tell you why, because Chief Tuscaloosa, they said, was like one of the biggest guys they've ever seen. He was really, really, they wanted to take him down, but he was a hard man to bring down because he was huge, like 7'3" or something like that. That's what they say. I mean, the history on Chief Tuscaloosa alone is pretty amazing. I'll have to do another story about that another time. But this is when it was still the Coosa lands. Now, the Coosa lands ran from the Coosa River all the way down to Wetumpka. That's a long way. Wetumpka's way down there in Mobile. That's where my people are from. And so, DeSoto spent 5 weeks in the capital when he found this place. Okay, he arrives there in 1540. Yeah. He arrives there and he wants to stay for a few weeks, and they welcome him with a ceremony right there by the cave and all that fun stuff. And like I said, Wikipedia said, I don't really trust that. I just don't trust Wikipedia. I don't feel like this said, I don't know. We weren't there, you know. All we have is what to go on. The guide says that he was met with resistance. I don't feel that way. Because none of the natives ever met anybody with resistance. You know, I think that people got confused by the gifts they were bringing them. And they thought that they were trying to make something off of them, because that's what people in Europe are so used to doing, selling goods and making money. So when they came across people that didn't sell goods just to make money, they were like, what's wrong with this? This is not cool. Like, I don't understand this, so it's scary to me. They say that he held the man hostage, that one of their chief hostage, and made the rest of the people into slaves, supposedly. But take that with a grain of salt, okay? Like, seriously, take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. We won't know. I actually looked in all my other native books, and I still couldn't find anything out about this place. The only thing I could do was Google, which makes me sad, because I like to read books, but it is what it is. So now, let's go to the 19th century, where the Confederates were. Now, the Confederates used this cave for something very special. They actually hired people to go in and not be a part of the Confederacy, but to go in and get the bat guano. Yes, I said that. That's the bat poop, okay? The bat guano, and you have to run it through water, sieve it really well. You have to do all these things to it, okay? And it makes gunpowder. It turns into saltpeter, which you then gather and you filter it, and you have to use all this water. So during this time, they had people inside the caves making gunpowder, and they had certain people that they only had, like 2 or 3 dudes in there doing it. But you can actually see in parts of the caves when they shot the gun off to see if it worked, where pieces of the rock is still broken, like it's still fresh. because, you know, I mean, that wasn't really that long ago, honestly. And it takes a long time. This cave, the formations alone are 3 million years old. The cave itself is 500 million years old. Like, when I say it was 12 stories high, it's 12 stories high. It's the biggest cave, okay? And so anyway, the Confederates, they needed ammunition. We all know what happened with all that. You know, they needed a lot of stuff. They needed ammo. They needed all this. And so they went in there, and that was one of the things they would hire people for. Instead of coming to fight, come in this mine, collect all the bat poop, and make it the gunpowder for us. I thought that was fucking cool. Now, in 1912, a very wealthy lady actually bought the caverns. I don't know what's wrong with my voice today. I'm so sorry about that. Her name was Ada Mathis, okay, and she's kind of a name around Alabama because of the things she did. She was a very, very kind lady, and they say that she'd probably laugh at you if you said that she was any sort of leader or anything like that. She was just a lady, a really nice lady, and she had a lot of money because she married into it, and so she bought the caverns, wanting to mine it for onyx. Okay, because this cave is covered in onyx. Oh yes, it's very, 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 very much so covered in onyx. Beautiful. Then the only issue is that the Mexican onyx was cheaper and more popular, and so unfortunately for her, it didn't pan out for her. Like literally didn't. Sorry, I cracked myself up on that one. Anyway, she couldn't compete with the lower prices, and so it sat just completely empty, done nothing with for a long time until Prohibition. Yes, Prohibition. So that happened. Prohibition, now, they turned the cave into a speakeasy. That they did, which makes all the sense in the world. I knew that was going to come. You got plenty of water. It's a cave, so it's down underneath the earth where nobody can catch you. And so it became a speakeasy for people to go and drink during Prohibition, when, you know, drinking was not allowed. There was no alcohol. No. And but the cave actually got another nickname, unfortunately. It was called the Bloody Bucket, because people would go down there and they would drink so much that they get a little bit too rowdy. Yeah. And then they'd start firing off some shots. I don't know if they're in there making some bat poop dynamite or what, but yeah, they start popping off shots, and so they call it, yeah, the bloody bucket is the nickname of the cave now. And it wasn't too long, of course, after you get a nickname like that, you know, somebody's going to be sniffing around. The feds end up coming and shutting it down, shutting the speakeasy down. And so that was that for a while. And it was just kind of left there until the 1960s. All right. By the 1960s, this cave was still in the Mathis family. Okay. They still had it in their family. It had been passed down and passed down and passed down. And so one of the Mathis family members wanted to really make the cave something for people to come and see. He wanted them to see these beautiful formations, and he had a vision, and he really wanted to have people come and kind of make it like a really fun place for people to go and do fun things. And so Mathis' son Alan bought out the other mining partners, you know, that Ida was with, bought them all out so it became his, okay, and the land surrounding it. And then for a while, it was very popular for explorers and like trailing, and like couples would go out there and smooch and stuff like that. But it was opened as Calmunga Onyx Cave. Not gonna lie, I like that name way better than any name they've given it, because it keeps the Calmunga name in it, but it also talks about the onyx that's in the cave as well, which is super, super interesting because it was so stunning. So then in 1975, old Allen, his son and grandson take over the cavern's operation. They renamed it Desoto Caverns. I don't know, but yeah. They named it Desoto Caverns. You know, they put in new lights, pathways were widened so that more people could go down there and see these beautiful formations and things like, you know, stalactites, mites, all that fun stuff. And so that's what they did. They just kind of, you know, re-improved it. Well, the back of the cave, they never allowed visitors. I got to go to the back of the cave, at least not to the incredibly far back, but the back where the waterfall is. And it's really beautiful back there. But they used to not let people go back there because it was like really, really slim. They had to widen it, but they had to widen it and put in concrete in ways that didn't disturb the formations. And so that I thought that was kind of interesting how they were really wanting people to come and see this place because it was so beautiful. I mean, it was the first cave established by the government, you know, and it's 12 stories high in the cavern. You know, this place was very, very ancient to the natives of the area, very much so a relic. I mean, it's very, very special to them. And then it wasn't until 1995, I think, that they let them rebury those skeletons because they had them out on display for a while. I just got chill bumps by saying leaving them out, leaving their, yeah. But I remember it, and at the thing, they actually had a wooden plank showing how they left their dead, but it wasn't a real skeleton. It was like a Halloween skeleton from the store. But they still showed how the natives bury their dead down there. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it's interesting, but we're walking on people. You know that cave is slap full of bones. Like, I mean, the uneasiness I felt in my stomach was just insane. And he verified it when he told me what it was actually used for. They start adding all this fun stuff, like you can pan for gemstones there. Like I said, there's a maze you can go through. There's like little Nerf guns and things like that. The kids can shoot at each other. And they wanted to make it a fun and friendly family place or whatnot. And I get that, you know. But at the same time, I kind of feel like this needs to be looked at just a little bit closer. Like, anyway, let me shut the hell up now, okay? So, like I said, the back of the cave was never accessible to visitors, not until 1980s, okay? And then people were actually able to go back there and see the beautiful waterfall and all the formations and things like that. And they added like a general store and a playground and added all of this fun stuff to make it fun for the whole entire family type deal. And it's a beautiful park, I will say that, but the history behind it is devastating. I love the fact that they renamed it, and it wasn't until 2022. I can't stop blinking. What's funny is like there's like another parent there, you know, and I was just standing there and I was like, you know why they changed it from Majestic, you know, why from DeSoto Caverns to Majestic? He was like, why? I was wondering that because it's always been DeSoto. And I said, DeSoto was like, he killed a bunch of people. How you gonna name something after somebody after that did what he did? I mean, for a while there, the Spanish and they all got along, you know, like I say, in Seminole territory. But this was way before that, you know. Yeah, this was way before that, unfortunately. So this cave, now they call it the Majestic Cave. Does it feel like that's a good name? They want people to come and see it because it's really beautiful and it is very majestic. I'm not going to lie. They're not lying when they say that. It's very, very, very majestic. It's very beautiful. I'm going to put some pictures and things throughout this so that you guys can check that out. But yeah, I had to get to the bottom of why I was feeling that type of way. And once he started speaking, yeah, I was like, oh, well, that explains everything. And after that, I always carry like a vial of herbs around my neck when I go somewhere because I never know if I'm going to need to gather something or if I'm going to need to leave something. In this case, I left something. And I had like some cedar, sage, tobacco, and some other things all mixed together already, like in a little vial, and I can just pour it out, and nobody ever really notices. So, plus it was dark in the cave. But anyways, you guys, the cave is beautiful. I hate the fact that it was named Desoto for so long. Alabama has a really, if you notice, if you're from Alabama, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I have. When I was younger, they had out the Trail of Tears signs, like state signs on the side of saying this is the Trail of Tears Highway, right? Pretty much. Those are gone. It's now called the Tannehill Trail. It's like they're trying to erase it all, trying to erase the mistakes. And you can't really erase them, but you can learn from them, And I hope that's what this is a learning situation. Definitely, if I'm a huge nature person. I love going out in nature. Had I known before going in that was a cemetery, I would have been well more prepared. Like I would have had more herbs. I would have had crystals. I would have had something with me. I would have had the mindset of knowing I'm about to be in there with my ancestors type deal. But I did not know that. That was probably my bad. Unfortunately, like I said, I haven't been there since I was a kid. But it was absolutely beautiful. And the kids loved it. They had a lot of fun. That's what matters. But I had to do the history. The fact that it goes, from being trying to make, get onyx out of it, and then a speakeasy, and then it was like a canoodling spot, and then they decided to fix it up and bring all these people in, and now it's a really happening place. They got like a little general store. You can mine for gems. They have a makeshift cave that you can go through that's not like the real one, so you don't really get stuck, I guess. We didn't get to do all that because it was a school day. So, but anyway, like I say, they renamed it Majestic Caverns in 2022. I'm feeling like that's just a little bit too late, in my honest opinion. It's just like when they replaced all those signs for the Trail of Tears to the Tannehill Trail. And it's like, it's just little things like that. See if you notice that if you live in Alabama. See if you notice those little things that have been changing. And in a way, it's good, but in a way, it also erases that memory of the huge mistake that we made. And we should definitely not make that mistake again. You know what I mean? So, anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I know I talk a lot, but this place really interested me. It's in Childersburg, Alabama, in Talladega. If you ever want to go and visit, it's called Majestic Caverns now. And yeah, that's the history behind it. It was a native settlement. It's the oldest settlement in America that was settled in the 1500s and stayed that way. Like, didn't matter who was there, it was always had people there. They never defeated it, basically. Just, I like that. So, anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. I hope y'all enjoy this video. I know this video is a little weird because I wrote it in a day because I was behind a day. And so now I'm all messed up in my schedule. It's all good. It's all good. We did this today and it was fun, and I hope you guys learned something. Anyways, if nobody has told you today, I love you. Okay? So love yourself too. Much love.